welcome to the Gooner Ramble podcast. I'm your host Giles, joining you as a very relieved Arsenal supporter at the end of a 2-2 Derby Day North London Premier League match. I've got my regular partner here, Clive. How are you, mate? You right?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm chipper actually. And also special guest joining us this evening is Geoff Arsenal. Hello, Geoff. How you doing, mate?
How you doing, guys? Listen, thanks very much for inviting me on.
Thanks for accepting the invite, mate. If we start at the beginning, defeat against Swansea left probably 97-98% of the fan base, saying it's all over. That's the season done. Cech and Koscielny are out. We're going to get turned over by Tottenham. Everyone thought that Tottenham's loss at West Ham was a blip, and they're going to turn us over terribly. We get to the game today. Spina's in goal. Gabriel's in. Nacho's on the bench because he's nursing a calf niggle. And we're not 100% sure how the team's going to look today, but Alexis Sanchez said before the game in midweek, he actually challenged the team and said, we've got to show the hunger and desire. And boy, did they show it in the second half. Clive, I want to come to you first. What did you think of the team when you saw the team sheet?
Well, first thing I thought was, for those who sort of listen to me and can be bothered to listen to me, I was quite pleased how Nene started. I just felt we've lost our sort of pattern of play recently, our structure to our team. We've had Ramsey in the middle, and I just don't think he offers us enough structure and positional play, and I think he causes problems with our distances. You've heard me loads of times, so that's not an issue. So I was pleased to see him play. He played Ramsey on the right where he can be freer and he can run, and he doesn't have to hold the team shape. And we saw that he's had probably his best game for a long time. Obviously, Gibbs was a bit of a surprise because we didn't expect Monreal to have the injury that he had. But Gibbs is a proper Arsenal boy, right? So I wasn't too over concerned. If you're going to pick him for one game, today's the day. I did have a bit of a worry about Bellerin before the game. I felt he shouldn't have played against Swansea. He should have had the rest. And I know because Spurs are very hard working in fullback areas and Danny Rose is strong. And I thought, maybe Bellerin could have rested. And I thought he started the game slow but grew into it. So that was fine. Obviously, Koscielny was out. And then we were very reliant on Ospina, right? And seeing what he would do. And pleased to see Welbeck play up front. But I'm sure we'll talk about that because to watch Arsenal with a centre forward like that was quite interesting. So the team was decent, and but more importantly, how we played was very decent.
Geoff, looking at how we played that first half, it was very frenetic. It was high energy, high octane, as all North London derbies are. Were you worried maybe about the centre midfield partnership with Nelnier and Coquelin? And were you worried about the key battles down the flanks? Because obviously we know Tottenham rotate their full-backs and I'd say Walker and Rose are their first choices. Playing Gibbs and Bellerin, were you worried about those areas, the full-back areas and the middle of midfield? Do you think those were the key battle areas?
I think that, to be honest with you, I think I was quite happy with Elneny and Koch being in them two central midfield roles, like as it is defensive really, because we had struggled in our previous three matches really with regards to discipline, like Clive has already said earlier on. Rambo he's fine, he's okay offensively, but you really have got to concentrate for the whole 94 whatever minutes of a football match, and it only takes a few seconds. You switch off a little bit, you get caught out of position like we have done in the last three matches, and that's how we've suffered a defeat. Really, I'm glad that Wenger has noticed that. Where we go to into a North London derby. I mean, I've been to many North London derbies, and it doesn't matter where you are in the league. Form totally goes out of the window. It's fierce. I mean, I went there today. I was lucky enough to go there, and I got there nice and early to soak up a bit of the atmosphere. I've met a few Arsenal boys and a few Tottenham boys, my pals. and we had a little chat outside the corner pin for about half an hour, and just as we was having a chat, all the escort come past us with the Arsenal herd and that, it got a little bit meaty. It was.
I heard people kissing. There was a few kisses and whatnot.
Yeah, there was. The police was going mad with the batons and everything else. It was a little bit like the 80s, but it was unpleasant, to be honest with you. I'm way too old for all that business now, but. It's always fierce at White Hart Lane. It's a horrible place to go, and I've got to give them credit. They've got an old-fashioned type football stadium there, and you're very, very close to the pitch, and they make a hell of a lot of noise. And it's that is anything I'm going to credit them for. The game itself, we knew it was going to be. That's how they start. They start how we used to start when we had the Invincibles and all the players that we had. We used to blitz teams in the first 15 and 20 minutes. So we knew we had to deal with that. Their high pressing game was always going to be, it was going to make a difference. But whether they could continue that for the whole match was always going to be in question. And I think we dealt with it really, really well. Then we went in front and I think we controlled a lot of the game that first half.
Geoff and Clive, I have to agree with Geoff. As the first half wore on, we seemed to sort of grow into the game. I noticed, I was looking at stats, they didn't actually have any successful through balls on us. We sort of defended in the first half. We actually protected the Spina quite well, I thought. What did you think of that?
Well, let's be honest, right? Many of us have walked into this game with trepidation, right? Because everything we've been told, Spurs are going to do us. They're more energetic. They're younger. They run further. They get more shots. They conceded least goals. And we're Arsenal, right? We're on the back of two, 3 big defeats, and we're thinking, okay, is this the moment? Is this the moment? And I look for indicators. I didn't go today, so I can watch things, Geoff, like I can watch in the tunnel, things like that. And we just look serious. We just look focused. And the game started, and Spurs had their moments. And I had a good look at Spurs today, and I was actually disappointed. I thought they're a big huff and puff team that run about, press, try to press you into your third. They smash crosses, and they just play percentages football, right? I didn't see much craft. I didn't see much technique. I saw effort and running. And the moment we started to play out of the press, I think their confidence went a little bit. I think they thought we would crumble. And we weren't in a crumbling mood, right? And it's about time. And I felt we grew into the game, right? And even early on, we had opportunities to break in behind them. And one of the big things about today was the spine of our team, right? So to see a centre mid that was playing like centre mids, Theo Nerney and Coquelin together was like great to see. They knew their jobs. There was simplicity of roles. Their roles were clarified. It was get it, give it, move it quickly. One touch, early picture, bang, pop round the corner. They get it, press them, close the space, take the space away from them, get their heads down. Don't let them build momentum. Like, it's great to see, right? And then we got Ramsey, Alexis, and Ozil slightly further up. They can be themselves, right? They can move, they can rotate, they can play off each other and create triangles. I started to think, actually, what was really interesting was seeing a centre forward that was big, tall, strong, but can run the channels. And straight away we had a shape. So I'm looking at the team, I'm thinking, I can see Arsenal again. I don't really care what happens because I couldn't see our club or our team for the last 2-3 weeks. I can see them. I can see them moving. I can see a pattern. I can see a shape. I can see pass combinations. I'm thinking, whatever happens here, I don't mind because I can see our team again, right? And they look back. So I felt I didn't see anything there for us to fear. And the players grew. The longer it went on, they saw, you know what, they're not that good, right? And we can do this. And that's how it felt. And then we scored, and there we go.
Bellerin had an interesting first half, Geoff. I mean, at first I thought that he was exposed quite a lot, and he's not really had the opportunity to be rotated very much. So not only was he defending Rose and whoever it was it Lamela coming down the left, he's actually also supplementing the attack. Thankfully, it was he that got forward and came in on I think it was Welbeck's cross to supply the pass, the assist for Ramsey, who's been very much maligned. In his role on the right, do you prefer Ramsey on the right? And how did you assess Bellerin's, game today? Do you think that he was, even though Ramsey was, a lot of people think that he's better on the right, do you think that he did leave Bellerin exposed at times?
He did, yeah. He was a little bit isolated, there's no doubt about that. But you know, you've got to give credit to Tottenham as well. That's how they play. They will pull you across both sides of the pitch. And you know, some teams, they are a good team. You've got to admit it. They're playing well at the moment. Whether they're going to sustain it or not, I don't know. But you know, he's got a good setup there. He's got them working really, really hard. They know their jobs, each and every one of them, and they do pull you back from left to right. You know, and you've got the kid in the midfield there, Ericsson, that pulls a lot of the strings as well. And Bellerin, he was isolated quite a lot, but you know, he's got that tremendous pace that does get him out of trouble. And it was a big thing for us today. You know, he did. You know, you are going to have times where you know you get one-on-one against. I mean, he's a decent left back now. I didn't think he was ever going to really do that much at Tottenham early days, Danny Rose. But he's progressed and he's matured into like a decent attacking fullback now. So. Yeah, you come up one against a lad like that, and it's law of averages says he's going to get a few crosses in and stuff like that. But the thing is, we dealt with the crosses once they did come in. You know, in some games that have gone past, you know, we'd score our own goal. We had a couple of near misses, by the way, today, didn't we? But you know, I think he dealt with it okay. Bellerin, he had a decent game, and all collectively, I think the boys done really well. It was a high pressure game. You know, all the, you know, they can sense, they are all on social media. They might not interact so much, but they'll have a little, I'm sure they do, for all their egos. They have a look, see what people are talking about and how the feeling is. And for the last, you know, 3 days, I mean, Arsenal Twitter has been absolutely toxic, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And, you know, and that filters through. And they know the pressure's on. It's a big game at Tottenham, and you know, thinking about it, this Tottenham game must probably come at the right time because it was so important, and so, you know, it's so important that we didn't get beat at Tottenham today. 1 for the fans, 2 for our league position, 3 for Tottenham's league position, because we don't at all costs want Tottenham going on to win the league. That's a big thing about it. And they, at the end of the day, they did a job, and I come away from that game, you know, after I caught my breath, because it's so that you guys know it is different when you're watching it on telly than watching it. I mean, you miss so many things at the game when it's live, and you know you can't really, although you can see the whole of the pitch, you're so involved in it. It's like, it's difficult. But when I come away and I was walking away from the stadium, I thought, you know what, we should have won that game there today. We had 2 or 3 chances at the, you know, creations at the last 7 minutes that we should have took one of those goals and really wraps it up, you know.
How much? I mean, okay, we Ramsey scored at a great time. You know, deep in the first half, scored at a great time. Going, you know, we probably didn't want half time to come because Tottenham were reeling. Coming out for the second half, obviously Coquelin's got his silly first yellow. Coming out for the second half, apparently Wenger's had a word in his ear and said, "Watch out, calm down, use your noggins, don't get involved." Second half. We look fine, and then he goes and, you know, he's tearing down. I don't know who he collars. I don't know who it was.
Harry Kane.
Was it Harry Kane?
Well, was it? I understand it was a foul. I understand that, but I mean,
but you know what, Geoff? Sometimes it's a reaction of the player. You look at the player's reaction; it tells you all you need to know, whether he thinks it was a card or if it wasn't. And he knew he was banged right, didn't he, Clive? I mean,
and Harry Kane was smart. He slowed down, dinked it, left his legs nice and loose off the ground so he can clap me, so you're not going to injure me. And he said, "Yeah, cheers, thanks a lot, mate. You're on away day in North London in Spurs, and there's no way 5 yards from the touchline you're." But
you know, for the sake of the game, Clive, you know, like it's a fierce North London derby. Premier League's hustle bustle anyway, and you see in games all over the country. There's loads and loads of little niggly systematic fouling that goes on, right? And you think that is one of those that on another day he just gets to talking to, and he says, "Right, listen, next one, and you're going off."
Yeah, I think sometimes with the way refs do it, right? The first one was like a handball. He's fallen over. He's got pressed. He's got his head down. He's lost his picture. Been nabbed. They've ganged up on him. as they're running away, breaking, he's handballed it. That's a stick-on yellow. That's not a little yellow.
Yeah,
that's a yellow, right? And then the next one, it's a real yellow. Now, if one of those yellows had been like a borderline one, he gets another break. You're sort of looking at you thinking, you have done 2 stick-on yellows. And if the referee hadn't have done it, I'd have been surprised. I've got to be honest, I'd have been surprised.
Was it a definite stick-on yellow? Yeah.
Yellow.
Okay.
He's gone to ground. And he's been cute, Harry Kane. He's been a professional footballer, right? This isn't like kindergarten, right? It's his football. Yeah. And he's slowed down and waited, and he's done his job, right? And he's done him. And Coquelin did not need to do it. We had bodies around.
He knew it. As soon as you could tell, he knew. He knew he was banter.
But he knows something. Much as I criticise Ramsey sometimes for running away and emptying midfield, because that's how he feels. He needs to help the team. Coquelin goes to ground quite a lot in a tackle.
But looking at that, look at where he's tackled him. He's on the byline. He didn't even need to do it. He wasn't in a dangerous position. It wasn't near the penalty area.
He's got to get a bit cuter, isn't he? To play in that position, he's got to be a little bit cuter.
Absolutely.
Well, Geoff, you was in the ground, right? There was a period after half-time we started. And as that game came out after half-time, I'll tell you now, they didn't touch the ball for 2 minutes, right? We just knocked the ball around. And then Mesut Ozil flicked it over someone's head, and the crowd singing his name. And I'm thinking, we are going to murder them. We're going to murder them because their confidence had gone. And then all of a sudden that happens, and the momentum shift was like huge, right? It was coming through.
Instant.
Once you get over that high press, once you get over that high and around that high press, there was great big gaping spaces, and that is the downfall of a high press like that. If the ball goes beyond your midfield, then it's on you. You know, if you've got 2 or 3 attacking players that have got a little bit of pace like we did have, it makes a big difference. And you're right, Clive. You know, there was a period in that game I thought, you know what, we're going to walk through these sooner or later. You know, it happened a couple of times in the first half that we should have done better.
Exactly. I just thought we were just starting to challenge their mentality, right? So everyone's been talking about our mentality, including me, for like the last 2-3 weeks. And I'm looking at them, I'm thinking, you know what? They've got beat up at West Ham. They didn't play. And here we are. They're 1-0 down, and Mesut Ozil's flicking it over their heads. And I'm thinking, you know what? They could go here. They could go. Yeah. And that tackle they gave him a free go, gave him a free ride. Yeah. And they hadn't really earned it. No. They hadn't put pressure on. They hadn't fatigued us. They haven't made us look at our technique. They haven't made us look at ourselves. We were just growing into a memorable performance, right? And that's what makes it even more galling that suddenly we gave them the carrot that they needed to push on.
It reminded me of the Chelsea game earlier on in the season. Yeah. You know, when we just give them a free sending off. You know, it was an even game. We were just coming into our own. Free sending off. We've got to play the whole of the bloody half with 10 men. A man down against a decent team, you know.
Does it show, I mean, obviously you don't want to go down to 10 men to show your mettle, but the fortitude. I mean, I don't think many people. I don't know what Arsenal fans in the ground felt, but on social media, I don't think many Arsenal fans thought we had the mettle.
No, you're
come
right.
back from that because
we went very, very flat. Yeah. I just thought, you know what, you know, like the days of Vieira, Petit, and even after them, you know, the team that we had, we go one player down, and it wouldn't have made absolutely no difference. You just knew you was going to steamroll through these and get through the game, you know. But with this crop of players we've got now,
there's no guarantee.
No, there's no guarantee. You think, they're going to be all they're going to be doing now is just holding on and. Against a team like Tottenham who are going to create chances, you know, you're struggling again. And more or less, I don't know how long it was, it seemed like it was just straight away, more or less. That
Not too long after,
Yeah, they scored, which was similar to the Chelsea game.
And let's talk about that now. The corner comes in, Gabs and Lamela go up for the corner, go up to the challenge. And I thought Gabriel was pretty weak in that challenge. He let Lamela beat him to the ball, not bully him off the ball. The ball's fallen quite kindly to Alderweireld. He's buried it. 1-1. They go mad, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, You know, the heavens are going to, floodgates are about to open. Assessing the corner, Clive, do you feel that Gabriel was a bit weak? I mean, he was good today. Generally, he was good. You know, he was making his tackles. He was keeping it very simple. Once he got the ball, get it out, whether it's a Rosette or Upfield, get it out. Didn't, you know, no nonsense and whatnot. But just there, it reminded me of last week Sunday at Old Trafford, and he was a bit weak, and, you know, he was, you know, a bit unsure of himself.
I think I've got a theory on Gabriel, right? You know me and my theories, and I think he's a player that needs to play angry. I think he needs to play on the edge, right? I think sometimes when he's coming to the team, he feels a little bit subservient to his partner, and if you make him the leader, I think he'll play like a leader, right? And I think in a year or so's time, I can see him being a leader in that team. He's got some things to do, like learn English for one. Mm-hmm. But he needs to be allowed to almost be set free. And I have watched him playing for Villarreal, where he was the cornerstone. At Arsenal, we have two other centre-backs. You know, one's got 100-plus caps for his country in the World Cup winner, and the other one is could be deemed our best player, right? Our best defender for sure. And it's difficult for him. So he comes in, he feels subservient. I think he needs to be angry, almost like Martin Keown angry, to be really aggressive and really front foot. And I think we have to develop on that partnership, whoever's that with. And I did feel today he has moments of weakness, but I'm not giving up on him. You know, he's 25, and that is still young for a centre-back, and I see a bright future for him.
He was... Go on, sorry, Clive, I beg your pardon.
No. I just want people to realise that, you know what, he has the competencies. He can run, jump, head it, kick it, and he's aggressive front foot, and he can go in behind, and he's quick. And people don't pick on him. If you notice the flow of the game, it was very much down the Mertesacker-Bellerin channel. That's where Harry Kane went. Harry Kane's not going Gabriel's side. What's he going to go down there for? You go down there, you're going to get done. Do you see what I mean? So what he's got to do is focus more when he's off the ball, so he's more controlled. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you are right what you're saying about Gabriel. You know what I see a lot about Gabriel? I'll tell you what I see in Gabriel. I see Laurent Koscielny for his first 12 months at Arsenal. I see a lot of similarities.
Rash.
Stupid, rash challenges, and that's why they've held him back, because he tends to dive in. He tries to win the ball in front of the player. Well, you know, as a centre half, you've got to be 100% guaranteed of getting that ball, because if it go past you, you've got that great big space behind you, and it's generally amounts to a really, really good opportunity on goal. So they're trying to rein him in a little bit, get his positioning right, get his thought process right. Only go for the stuff that you can really, really win. Because even if you win the ball in front of a centre forward, it can pop off to another midfield player. You're then in front of everybody else, and they're in behind you anyway. So they're just trying to. That's why they're taking their time with him, just to get used to the Premiership. But I remember Koscielny was exactly the same. He was making stupid decisions, and he'd score stupid own goals. I mean, he's still doing it now every now and again, but he would do, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
he'd make stupid, and he'd kick the ball at himself and stuff like that. And I see a lot of Gabriel, a lot of Koscielny in Gabriel. His first 12 months at the club, and there's no doubt about it. Koscielny is come on, and he is definitely the best defender at the club.
So, are we talking about seeing a controlled aggression? I mean, even though Martin Keown looked to any, casual viewer as a Neanderthal, but he was actually pretty much controlled, especially in his older age, especially as he became a senior defender at Arsenal.
Hey, G, let me tell you something, mate. I don't think Martin Keown's ever been controlled, right? He's a complete Fruit Loop, right? And that's the way he plays. He plays on the edge. He's very intense. Let's not mess about. I was watching the video the other day of the Invincibles when when Keown took, I think it was Forlan and Van Nistelrooy missed the penalty, right? There's no way Keown needs to make that challenge, but that's the way he is. He's aggressive, he's confrontational, and that is what Gabriel is, and we've got to nurture that. It's going to take time. I mean, Geoff makes a great shout on Koscielny there, right? That was 2011 when Koscielny messed up in Birmingham. Was that 2011?
Yeah.
In the final?
Yeah.
And broke our hearts.
Yeah.
It's 2016 now, and now he's 29-30. So we're talking about that length of time before Koscielny's become really accomplished and top class.
You know, Gabriel today, I did see him though, really, really getting involved and geeing up the players, and he stuck a few bollockings out to the midfield players.
Yep.
That is, like you say, Clive, that is his leadership. Now he's settled in, he's familiar with all the boys. You know, he's getting up the pecking order slowly but surely. He can feel that, because you feel that as a professional, don't you? You know, as you in every walk of life. You know, if you go to a new job, you know you've got to feel your feet first. He's done that now, and he's obviously comfortable enough that if he's on the pitch and he needs to give a few bollockings out and encouragement, then he'll do it. And that was a big game today, and it was good. It was a good trait that I saw in Gabriel, that he would take on that mantra and do that kind of thing.
Okay, so a few minutes, it's 1-1, a few minutes later, ball goes down the Mertesacker Bellerin channel yet again. I thought Mertesacker he had a good game up until that point. I thought he was decent. You know, got his tackles in, marshalled the defence very well, but at that moment in time, you wanted to just clear the ball, just get it out. He lets Harry Kane, or whoever it was, I think there was two of them around him, lets them take the ball. Harry Kane cuts in, and you know he does it all the time on his right foot, bends it. He looks for the far post, doesn't he? Basically, he's looking for that little channel at the far post, and he's bent it in at the far post. No one was going to stop that goal. But at that moment in time, did you think it was all over, Geoff?
Oh, curtains, mate. Yeah. You know me on Twitter. I'm a massive optimist, but I just held my head in my hands, and the sheer disappointment was, I just don't know how. It was just incredible. You know, the feeling of, no, we're going to get done. They're going to go top of the league. They're going to go clear at the top of the league. This can't get any worse. But you know. Sometimes, again, when you've got quality players like that, I mean, that was a world-class goal. It was fantastic. And sometimes I'm not sure you can do a lot about that. You know, people are going to get chances, and good players like that are going to create chances for themselves. He had no right to score from where he scored, really. It was a terrific shot, and fair play to the lad. But you know, the disappointment, and everybody around me was just so down at that particular time, and we did think that, 10 men down at Tottenham Hotspur, they're going to be rolling now. The ground was rocking. We thought, it's on us. You know, this could really, just hopefully we won't really get embarrassed 4 or 5, because that would have killed us for the rest of the season. What
did you think of Mertesacker's defending at that point, though? I mean, he should have really dealt with the danger, shouldn't he? Because, you know, he was down in the corner, just put it out, surely. Let them regroup.
It difficult for me to see. It was up the other end of the stadium from where we was. You know, I just see the ball go over there, and you know, as you're watching it, you got heads in front. Everyone stands up in the away end anyway, so you know, maybe with concentration weren't 100% on it. But I just see the ball come off to Harry Kane. He just come inside a little bit, and when he struck it, it was just, I thought that surely can't go in. And wow, it just nestled in the corner of the net. I was, but you know, you do get that from Per, don't you? I mean, I do think that we are seeing the last of Per Mertesacker, really. You know, I think he'll stay at the club, but I think he'll be, you know, that third central defender maybe. I think that's the plan, to bring Gabriel and Koscielny on, and personally, I think that he'll be looking for another centre half maybe in the summertime, or nurture Callum Chambers, because I think that Chambers, although he hasn't really got the pace that you need in the Premier League nowadays to play as a top class central defender, he could still do a good job, you know.
Clive, I'll bring the question over to you. Just break down the moments leading up to the goal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Vimmer, right? I think he's just lumped it down again, they're focused on our right channel, our right channel. They're trying to pin Bellerin, right? Because he's very dangerous going forward. They've gone down there. Mertesacker's doing one of his, his jogs, and I think he feels quite comfortable. I think he thinks he's going to outrun Harry Kane, and it's no problem. But he doesn't see Dele Alli coming in from the side, and Dele Alli comes in on his blind side, and he backheels it. So what Mertesacker should have done is deal with the situation. Don't let the situation control you. What you do as a player, you go and deal with it, right? So you make a decision. You either get close to the ball within playing distance and you protect it, or you put it out. And he did neither. He thought he was going to run out, and then Dele Alli back heels it to Harry Kane. And what you didn't see, Geoff, maybe in the ground, is that Harry Kane used Gabriel beautifully as a shield, and he curled it round him, and it did actually hit the inside of the post.
It was a beautiful,
unstoppable.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you can do about that, is there?
Yeah.
Unstoppable. Right?
Sometimes you just got to hold your hands up and say that's a quality goal.
You have, but at half time, what the vibe was really, and Spurs do this quite a lot. They do a lot of shooting from distance. They do a lot of what I call cross shots, and it's quite percentage play. And the way it's been perceived was their shot and pass selection in the last third was really poor. I mean, they had 3 kicks, they had like opportunities, right? And they were just banging them. No finesse, just bang it across. I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, where's the finesse? Where's the technique? Where's this team I've been waiting to see, right? And I didn't see it. I didn't feel it today, and I felt...
Do you feel, Clive, that they might have assessed Ospina and thought he might be susceptible from long shots or something? Because like you say, they didn't have... I don't think they didn't really hurt us inside the penalty area apart from the goal. But as you say, there was a high frequency of long shots today. You know, they had a high frequency of long shots in possession today. So
I felt they were pumped, right? I felt they read the papers like everybody. Just right. Players read everything, right? And they read the papers and they fancied it, and they were banging into us, banging shots, banging crosses. Everything's overhit. Free kicks overhit. Free kicks straight into goalkeeper. I mean, we were at the races, really. We were just building our confidence. And much like in the week, Swansea grew into the game. Once Swansea realised how fragile we were, they grew into the game. I felt our players looked at Spurs and thought, actually, we can damage them. And there were lots of near misses on the break. And I was disappointed. I got to be honest, I was disappointed in the finesse and the technique under pressure in the last third. What Spurs do very, very well is they win the ball in broken play in our third. They win it, 1-2 passes, opportunity. And their energy normally gets them a 1-2-0 lead, and then they play from there. And the fact we scored first, I think, really sort of affected their confidence.
Interesting. Eric Dyer, Geoff, I don't know if you saw the incident.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. That's a second yellow, isn't it?
Well, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I can only imagine the referee never see the shirt pull.
It was right under his nose.
Yeah, I saw it from. You could, if you've watched football for any length of time, you can tell that the lad had been pulled back, and you tell. I mean, even Dyer, he got up with that guilty look as well, didn't he? You know. Again, we come down to the inconsistency. If you set yourself up and send Coquelin off, you have got to give the same thing to Dyer, and I think he should have gone. And that was again, that could have changed the game into our play. You know, it was a disappointment. Everyone was going mad, obviously because of it. But I think he should have gone off.
Michael Oliver is usually. I mean, whenever I've seen him officiate, I thought he's not too bad. He's a good young referee, but today he was particularly poor. Some people might say leading. I think he was pretty weak. I thought he was a homer myself. Clive, how did you assess the referee?
I like Michael Oliver. I think he's brilliant, right? I think he's a fantastic ref. I think he can feel the game. I think I remember him at Old Trafford when we won the FA Cup, when they were diving all over the place. He got every single one of them right. And I think, compared to the Mike Deans of this world, I'll give him a break all day long. I just felt he got that one slightly wrong. Well, badly wrong, to be fair. He got Coquelin right. He got that one wrong. And I do think if he'd have gone, I think we'd have won the game. I think they would have had to adjust. They were quite smart. They got Lamela off the pitch real quick because he was going to go off.
Well, coming to that point, Clive, just before then, Lamela's pushed Alexis. Alexis has pushed him back. Lamela's made the most out of it and sort of dropped almost at the linesman's feet. And then the referee goes and books Alexis and lets Lamela away scot-free. And Lamela's on a yellow already. Yeah. So why has he done that? What's that about?
And to be fair, normally in those situations, both players get booked, right? And but he didn't this time. And and then within 25 seconds, Pochettino has whipped him straight off, right?
Absolutely.
Because he can see his head's going, and that, you know what, that happens when you're at home. We get those breaks as well, right? And but today it's a little bit galling because I tell you now, when you watch that game again, Geoff, I know it's like in the stadium, right? You're there, you're seeing bits and pieces, and you're feeling the moment. When you watch that game again, I tell you now, we had them. They were fragile, and if we had them at the same men, we would have won that game. I'm positive.
Wenger decides to take off a tiring Welbeck, who I thought was absolutely brilliant today, apart from, maybe the header, could have maybe got a bit more on it, worked tirelessly today. And as you said earlier on in the piece, Clive, he was running the channels, very effectively. He brings on Giroud, maybe as a last gasp, throw the dice, and I think he takes off El Nene and brings on Campbell. Am I right? Possibly.
I think he had Giroud and Welbeck on for a short period of time, right? Okay. For a short period of time. And I think he took off El Nene first with the first substitution for Giroud. And then I think the last one, I think he brought on Flamini for, can't remember now.
Campbell, maybe. Okay. But not for Campbell, for maybe for Welbeck. So we go up the other end. It's the last throw of the dice. Bellerin again showing fantastic reserves of energy. Plays it into Alexis Sanchez, who, as I said earlier on, had challenged his teammates to step up in the moment of need, and he does exactly that. I mean, Geoff, the relief. Did you see? Was it building up for you? Did you see us sort of like getting into the game at that point? Had you seen something turn, or did you?
Well, we had two or three little breakaways, and Tottenham was still pressing again to get that third goal, which I think was a mistake, really. And you could feel that we knew it wasn't done because Arsenal, they're a very offensive team and they've got good players. And again, like I said earlier on, if the other team switch off for a little bit, we have got players that can cut you to pieces. And it was really refreshing to see Danny Welbeck up top today, playing as a centre forward, because he's a natural centre forward. That's where he's plied his trade. That's where he's come through the youth ranks as a kid and doing all that time. You could really tell that. And what he gave us was the defence have got to be aware that this lad can run in behind you. With Ollie Giroud, I like Ollie Giroud. I think he holds the ball up very well and he compliments us sometimes. But one thing for sure, if you're playing up against him, he's not going to run in behind you. Yeah. He's not even going to show to run in behind you. Everything's got to be in front of you. So your job is 50% easier, especially when you're playing against, 2 against 1. With Danny Welbeck, he's lively, he's zippy, he makes good runs either side of both defenders. He'll let you get confused. He'll run in between the middle. That's because he's done it from when he was a kid. And with Theo, when he tries to play up there, he's still very raw. He's still very green. He's not a natural centre forward. He's a fantastic athlete, but he's not a natural centre forward. He doesn't really know where to run and to cause other defenders problems. Sometimes Welbeck will make a run just to pull the other defenders out of the way and to make people aware of him, whereas Theo hasn't got that. Ollie Giroud's got it, but he doesn't run in behind, so everything's going to be in front of you. So, it was encouraging to see Danny up there. And when the ball come down and dropped to Sanchez, it seemed like ages, but as it was dropping down, and I was just saying, fuck me, just strike it properly. And to me, it looked like he scuffed it a little bit, and I just thought it was going wide of the post. I just think, it's going to go wide. And it goes into the corner of the net again. I thought, wow. And everyone went absolutely crazy. Because although it was against the play a little bit, we was up against it. We've got 10 men. It's a horrible place to go anyway. And it was the euphoria was incredible, But then you've got to settle yourself down again because they're going to come at you for the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes,
Clive, it was ding dong, as Geoff said. We've grown into the game. We've got the 2-2 equaliser. Alexis has shown up. And I thought that it would probably be, General Cup's last stand here, or the thin red line, but it wasn't really like that. And as the game wore on into the final minutes, we could have won it, couldn't we? I mean, I suppose you want to talk about the Alexis goal first, so I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, well, again, throughout the whole game, they looked vulnerable. And we had nearly opportunities to get in behind them, get around them. And it's just the last ball wasn't quite there. And then, fair play to the manager, right? He made a substitution that was quite offensive, taking it on any off.
He had no choice, though, did he?
Well, I was wondering what he was going to do. I didn't know what he was going to do. And we killed him in the week, right, for taking off Joel Campbell. So fair play to him, right? So, and he brings on Giroud, and then he keeps Welbeck on the pitch. He puts him to the right-hand side because Danny Rose he's really getting in. And he plays a centre midfield of Aaron Ramsey and Mesut Ozil. And I've got to give them two credit because Spurs can run. And those two are not great in reverse gear. And they worked really hard. They kept the ball well. They kept moving it forward. And on the goal, they played it out to Bellerin. Bellerin puts a nice weighted pass in. And what happens, guys, Sanchez strikes it early. And it's quite nice to see Sanchez move more to the right. I think he's getting quite predictable on the left. He comes in on his right foot a lot. He's got more shapes and tricks on the right-hand side. The Tavares game was good. And on the right-hand side, he can finish early. So what he's done, he's smashed it early. He's done it into the ground. And Lloris hasn't got a good hand on it. He's gone in the corner. And Geoff, what you'll see when you see the goal is that the bit where the corner where Arsenal fans were, they were like frozen in time for like half a second. Literally half a second. The ball's in the net and you guys don't even know.
Yeah.
Then you realise, and then it goes off. And it goes off. And I'm thinking, I'm at home, BT Sport, big TV, thinking, oh man, there's one place I want to be.
It was absolutely crazy, I've got to tell you. And it went crazy, and it's great. It's great to see it, you know what I mean? Because we've been through it the last week or so, haven't we,
Exactly. And it's a big relief. It looked like a massive relief. And that goal, I think it's a huge goal. Because, let's be honest, right, Alexis was our talisman last season. He's had a up and down year this year. But he looked like Alexis today.
So that's what it was. As the ball was dropping to him, Alexis of old, he would be the only person you want that ball to drop to. But the Alexis that we've seen for this season, as the ball dropped, you think to yourself, well, you don't know. You've got that little bit of doubt in you because you've seen his previous performances over these last few weeks and that. And you really don't know where it's going to go. It could end up in row Z anywhere. Yeah. But once he struck it, and then it took like an eternity to go into the goal. And I think that's why what you're saying there. Because where it's on the other side, it went into the goal the other side of us, so we couldn't really see it. It was
a clear half a second. I'm thinking, what's up with them lot? Do they think it's offside or something? And then suddenly it goes off, and I'm thinking, oh man, that's it. That's where I want to be. I want to be walking down the road with them, going to the 12 pins. Do you know what I mean? But Alexis is a master of what I call master of the half chance. Master of the half chance. And he takes shots early. He really is a second forward, really, that we play on the left. And it's interesting to have a bit more freedom today. I think he caused a lot more problems. I thought we were great going forward today. And with the 10 men and the time we had on the ball, I thought we were fantastic.
It's rare to see Sanchez popping up on the right. And we profited from it.
Well,
why don't we do it more often? Why do we always play him? Because he's become very predictable. I mean, we all know that. On the left, when he's not confident, he tries even harder. He goes down the left, he cuts back onto his right. If defenders are like, yeah, all right, we'll crowd you out. Because it'll ping-pong off of somebody and they'll collect the ball and they'll go up the other end. Why don't we see that more often? Go on.
I have a theory, right? The theory for me is the two in the middle of the midfield. They gave us structure. And from there, we can do our thing. We've got rotational forward players, right? Welbeck can do it down the middle, out wide. Ozil's a floater. Ramsey's a floater. Sanchez is a floater. We can't make Ramsey play centre mid and give us structure. It's just not in this game, right? So suddenly we look rotational and we were very hard to track, very hard to sort of mark. There was no fixed positions, right? And I tell you, I was so pleased to see the structure of the two in centre mid, and from that core, we could do our thing and we could play like Arsenal normally play, right? So it's quite pleasing.
I do honestly see Sanchez as a top class centre forward, and I'll tell you why. I think he would benefit Arsenal more. It's whether or not Wenger's got the bottle to play him up there for any length of time, because it does take a transition. I know he's played up top. He plays up top for Chile and stuff like that, and he's played up top for Barcelona when he was there. It's very difficult because I'm not sure he can hold the ball up like Oliver Giroud and maybe Danny Welbeck. But what frustrates the fans a lot is that he does give the ball away in vital areas, generally when we're offensive, and once the ball turns over, that's when we get caught a lot. If you play him up top, he's further up the pitch. He's in the final third. He can play within the width of the penalty area. You've got a player there that's fast, skillful. He's got half a dozen tricks in his locker, right? And if you face him up against any centre half, right, you'd fancy that he would get a strike on goal because he's that quick. He's got a trick. You've only got to move the ball to the side, either side, and have a strike on goal. And I would love to see him play up there for a length of time because, one, he's got a great shot on him. And two, he can take on a player. And I think he'd ruin defences. Whether or not the gaffer could leave him up there and have a run at it is another thing. But I think, he could be our Luis Suarez, if you get what I mean.
Let me ask you, Geoff, what kind of players would he need around him to facilitate having Alexis Sanchez in the middle? Because you look at Suarez, Neymar, Messi, okay, you're not going to get two other players like that, but they're very interchangeable. Neymar and Messi can see a pass. They've got tricks. They're very quick. They're highly intelligent footballers. What kind of footballers do you think Alexis Sanchez would need for us to have him as a number 9? And do we have those type of footballers?
I just think it's a different style of football that we've got in the Premier League than in Spain and Italy and all them places. I think you do need a big, strong centre forward in the Premier League because the game's much more physical. There's a lot more tackles, I think. And if you play one up top like the game has gone recently, he's generally in the Premier League. He's got to be able to look after himself. He's got to be. I don't know. Listen, Barcelona, their front three. I should imagine they can play anywhere in the whole wide world, of course. Yeah. But I think I hope you get what my gist is. That they've got to be a little bit more robust, should I say, the Premier League centre forwards, and that's why it may be that the gaffer won't put him up there on his own and give him a run. I think he'd be a world beater.
Before I come to you, Clive, so you can come into the conversation. I'm going to throw you Aguero's name into the hat, Geoff. Very similar stature, probably stockier.
Yeah.
But he's more natural, clinical, cold-ass killer.
Yeah.
Than you'd say Sanchez.
Yeah. You can tell, again, I relate back to what I said about applying your trade as a kid. He's come through the ranks. Aguero is a natural centre forward. He's always played there. I think he has anyway. I don't know his history, but I can tell by the way he plays. I used to play centre forward myself, and I can tell by the way he plays. He just knows. He knows the lines. He knows where to run. He knows how to pull defenders. All different ways. You don't know where he's playing half the time. You don't know where he is. So you've always got to be on the ball. I think he could do that, Sanchez. But you could tell at the same time he has played wide a lot of his career.
Yeah.
Because he goes down them channels just like Henry did.
Yeah. Yeah. Geoff, Clive.
Yeah, well, with Aguero, right? So he's fortunate. He's got 20-stone Yaya Toure travelling the ball up to him, right, and being a target and adding that physicality. He's got Silva bringing the ball to him. He's got Sterling bringing the ball to him. So once you travel, it's like Walcott. Walcott can play centre forward if everything's in place. If Santi Cazorla's travelling the ball to him, if Ozil's there with 5-yard passes, Theo Walcott's fine, right? So, but if that's not the case, then he's invisible, right? So, I do like the fact that Sanchez was freer today, and I think his trick on the left-hand side, gets it on his right foot, he does a shake and bake and he comes inside. That's being read. That is being read now, right? He goes right every time.
Yeah.
When he's on the middle, when he's on the right-hand side, I think he offers different problems. And, players, they get their little DVDs, they get their bit of scouting on the player, and Alexis has been read.
Yeah, once he's on that left-hand side, he can only go one way, Clive, can't he? So you know what he's going to do. If he's in the centre, He could do a lot more. He can go left and right, and that poses another problem altogether.
And so, again, I go back to the structure, right? With El Neni and Coquelin, that meant that Ramsey, Ozil, Sanchez were able to rotate, and they could cause problems, and they kept popping up in areas they should never have been in. I'm looking at Ramsey and thinking, what are you doing on the left-hand side? Then Ozil's out there, right? So on the right-hand side. So I was pleased I was really pleased they were able to do what they do, which is run, move, rotate, create opportunities. They're on the same wavelength. And you guys know I'm not a huge Ramsey fan particularly, right? But when he's not in our base of our team, he becomes freer, and then he can cause problems. He's very hard to track, right? So yeah, I mean, Sanchez, just good to have him back. Come on, he's our top man. He should have been player of the season this year, right? I thought he would have been, and he just hasn't started. And you know, him scoring that goal could kick us off, right? And just when we need it.
Okay, so at the game, we're at the final knockings of the game. Aspina's come into his own as well. I mean, what I've tried to do here is sort of like pick certain players and get you guys to assess their performance. Coming to Aspina now. Makes a good save from Ericsson, I think it is.
Lamela
as well. There was one in the first half. I think which was the one who was actually behind the goal line. He was actually behind the goal line, but he's pushed it out with his hand.
Was that the own goal nearly? Was that Mertesacker nearly scored an own goal?
That was Gabriel.
Gabriel nearly scored an own goal, yeah. You know,
that was a good save, by the way.
That was a very good save. He made a couple of very good saves. What did you make of his performance? Because a lot of people were like, when we heard that Cech was down and Ospina was coming in, and people were making all these funny gifs of Ospina and how, you know, we're going to lose and blah, 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 and this, that, the other. I thought he had an absolutely fantastic game today. I think his distribution out from hand was pretty good. He was pinpointing Alexis on the left when he needed to. I thought his command of the area was good. I mean, as you were saying, Clive, free kicks and crosses and whatnot, we were pretty comfortable. What did you make of his game today? And did he fill you with confidence going for the rest of the season or for the next month, as it seems?
Well, we got no choice, right? So it's him or a kid. So, but he's not a kid. He's an international player, right? This is not somebody that's not got a track record. He's got a strong, serious track record. He's a bit of a line keeper. He's a bit of somebody that doesn't really dominate the whole area like Peter Cech does. But he makes saves, and that save off Lamela, I think, was really important. I'm not sure we'd have got anything out of that game if Lamela scores that early goal. I think we might have looked at our boots and felt sorry for ourselves. We've just been beat by, Barcelona, Man United, Swansea. Oh my goodness, we're 1-0 down at Spurs away. And I think it was very important we did not concede the first goal, right? So I was really impressed with him. Really impressed. And here we are a year ago. We were debating it's him or Szczesny, and we want him to play. Right, so it's only a few months later on, and it's a big credit to him that he's gone in there in a big game and played like that. And credit to him. But fine lines, right? On that shot where he was behind the line, we are talking about 2 inches, and that's the goal. And we are all saying, what's he doing behind his line? And we're killing him. Do you know what I mean? So it really is fine margins. And if it wasn't for TV, technology, in days gone by, that goal would have been given, and we wouldn't have complained. So it really is fine lines. But credit to him, he's done really well today.
I don't really buy into the stick that Ospina gets. I really don't. He had a fantastic 14-15 games for us last season. When we went on that run, he was the best goalkeeper in the Premier League for the games that he played right across the board. So I didn't. That's why I wasn't too concerned at the time if we didn't get Petr Cech. But that was at the time, obviously. I only thought that because I was concerned that Cech being played under Mourinho. Mourinho is supposed to be this wizard of a coach, and he knows players. and he wasn't picking him at Chelsea, and Courtois was playing, and he hadn't played a lot of football, and a couple of games that I did see him play at the time, he didn't make up to what he was playing in times previously, I beg your pardon. I thought to myself, well, you know what, Ospina's a good goalkeeper anyway. We're going to be okay. Of course, my mind's changed now because he's come to Arsenal and he's been absolutely outstanding as Peter Cech. But I don't really buy into this that he gets so much stick, and it was generally down to that ricket that he made in the Champions League match. Olympiacos, yeah. But goalkeepers. I mean, you saw Cech's league debut for us. He gave 2 goals away at West Ham, really. But no one really jumped on his back about that. Goalkeepers do make mistakes from time to time. You can't help it. But overall, generally, I think David Ospina has been a very, very good goalkeeper for Arsenal Football Club, and I still think he's got a future.
Decent number 2, I'd say. It all depends on how he feels. Ramsey could have won it at the end, couldn't he, Geoff? Geoff, I'll start with you, Geoff, and then come to Clive. Could have won it at the end.
Yeah, unbelievable. I thought he was going to win it. I thought he was going to win it for us, I think he should have just struck it. It was a passing in time. You think, well, just pass it into the net, pass it. And then the defender, it was a great tackle, by the way, from the lad. Fair play to him. But there was 2 or 3 of them times when we could have cut through them and we could have cleaned that game up. And again, as Wenger has alluded to in the past, we've let ourselves down offensively sometimes with the final pass and or the final execution. And they are fine margins that win and lose games or win and draw games or whatever. You do. Once you get them chances at this level, you need to put them in the back of the net. And that's why when I was walking away, I was a little bit disappointed because I think we should have won that game.
Clive, there's I suppose, different opinions. People are saying we should be relieved that we managed to get anything out of the game from the position we found ourselves in from the 54th minute onwards. Others are saying we should have won it. We shouldn't be out with a point. How do you view it?
I think we could have won it. I think we would have won it. And so the regret I have is that we didn't win it. But when we were 2-1 down, and let me tell you, that ground was rocking and the TV camera was moving, I'm thinking, this is not going to be a good weekend, right? And at 2-1 down, I take the point. I definitely take the point in those circumstances. Maybe Leicester are the biggest winners this weekend, right? And we're going to have to, we're 8 points behind. We've got to deal with that. But if anything, today has really got my confidence back. I've looked at Spurs. I looked at Leicester tonight, and I don't see anything for us to be worried about, which makes Swansea and Norwich and West Brom and all those missed opportunities even more disappointing, right? Drawing away at Spurs with 10 men, that's not an issue, right? That's part of a football season. Losing at home to Swansea when you got a chance to close the gap, then you got to look at yourself in a different way.
Well, this is what people said. I remember after the Swansea game, some guy went on Arsenal Fan TV and he said it will probably be like us to lose to Swansea and then beat Spurs on Saturday. Obviously, we didn't beat them, but we are kind of bipolar. When you look at the games that are coming up, there's no guarantee. I don't try, even though we did what we did today. We showed some real true grit and mettle today. I don't trust this team to go on and catch Leicester. We're 8 points behind them. Honestly, I don't trust them. You may say that Leicester's struggling to beat all these teams at the bottom half of the table, but they're still picking up points. I don't trust Arsenal to do that.
I think first things first, right? We're in a pretty low place in the last couple of weeks, and so I'm trying to look at it. I'm trying to look at it from that's a big building block. I can't. I said to you earlier. I saw my team come back today, and that's the first building block, because I've not seen this team. Watch the last couple of games with my mouth open. I mean, where they gone? Who are these people? They're not the people I know. And then you start to question the manager. You start to question our mentality. You start to question the board. You start to question the owner. You start to question: do we need to renew with our manager? Because is Is it too long for him? Is he past sell-by date? Well, I'll tell you what, when Alexis Sanchez puts that ball in that bottom corner, none of us are thinking we've got to let go of the manager. And that's football. It changes so quickly. 65 minutes in the Barcelona, I'm comfortable. I'm thinking, we've arrived. Then, a few minutes later, we get done. So, it's difficult, right? And I'm one of these people, I flip-flop as well, and I look at things, I look at the structure of the club, and I think, okay, if you're looking ahead of time, where do you want us to go? Is it time to renew and get new leadership so we create a new mentality? But we are where we are. This is it. We're like 19 games to go. And I saw some promising green shoots today and hopefully something to build on.
I remember last February when we went to Tottenham, we got done 2-1, and they went, I think it was 7 points in front of us at the time, which is ironic. Yeah. Leicester have gone 8 points in front of us tonight. And that was a wake-up call for the club, and we had to react. Players had to react. They've had to sit themselves down and think, are we going to really have a go at this now? Because we was at the time, it looked like we was fighting for full place at that stage anyway. Chelsea had gone clear, but Tottenham was on our heels. There was 7 points in front of us at the time after that particular game. Tottenham, as they normally do, think they've got it made up now. And we showed our mettle last season. Now it's a similar position now with Arsenal. That game today, we've got 9 games left. There's 27 points up for grabs. It's quite conceivable we can get 7 wins and 2 draws. If we can go on that run, unbeaten, get 7 wins, 2 draws, in my heart of hearts, I think we can still win the league.
Lots of ifs, though, Geoff.
Well, of course, exactly. We've got 5 home games that if we don't win them 5 home games out of the 9, then we don't really deserve to win the league at West Brom, Watford, Palace, Norwich, and Villa. If you are going for the title, that is an absolute dream running for you.
Let me give you a caveat. Everton. Who else we got? West Ham. Penultimate game.
And Sunderland and Man City.
Everton's just beaten West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
West Ham are mugs
the other way. West Ham beat Everton.
No, was it?
Yeah, West Ham come back. They was 2-0 down to 1-3-2.
You're joking. Blimey.
Yeah.
Everton all over the place, G.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? We've done quite well at Everton. Everton are not a team. They like to play. They play football. Martinez's teams they play football, and they're quite weak at the back. I'm not too concerned about Everton. West Ham, that's a different kettle of fish. They're on a high. They've got this togetherness again. They've got their belief. That Bilic has obviously instilled that belief into them. And like Tottenham, like Leicester, once you've got that, we've had it in the past. And the fans feel it, and you feel that sense of, listen, it doesn't matter who we play, we're gonna beat these teams, and they've got that at this moment in time. West Ham get from 2-0 down to 3-2 up away at Everton. That is inconceivable over the last 5 or 6 years. You know what I mean? They're just not going to do that. So that's the belief that they've got. But I think we can go to West Ham. It's a vital game.
It's a massive, and they're 3 points behind us. Just massive.
Yeah, I understand that. West Ham, I think we can still, I'll put that down as one of the draws. If we draw at West Ham and we draw at Manchester City and win the rest of our games, I think we can win the league. Because, Leicester have got Man United and Chelsea the last 2 games. Chelsea are going to have a great say in who wins this title this year, because obviously they've got to play Tottenham as well.
But that's 6 points. We're 8 points behind them, Geoff. We're still needing snookers.
Yeah, of course.
We still need the ball to run with us.
Yeah, they've got West Ham as well. They've got Everton as well. So it's quite tight. It is really tight.
So you think we're still in it? Obviously, mathematically, even beyond mathematically, in your heart,
not giving up. Yeah, listen. The form over the last 4 games has told me that come on, Geoff, you're picking at straws here, mate. But I know, and Arsenal, which we've done so many times. This last 2 or 3 months has been quite bizarre for Arsenal, because before that, 2015, we was the best team in the league, right? For the calendar year. So our form from December to January up until now has been so poor. It's just amazing. I don't know what's happened. Even our football has dropped off. My theory is it all relates to Santi. and his ability in the middle of the park to take the pressure off you when you've got that high press game against you, and also his creativeness. He keeps the ball moving very, very quickly. Where Rambo, as much as I love him, he'll get it and he'll look up, and if the ball's not on, he'll flick it back inside, then he'll flick it back inside again. That's not how we play football. It's got to be quick pass and move. That's how we're on the ball, that one-touch stuff. That's why we cut through teams. So, I think we've got a great chance here, mate. I'm not lost with it yet, mate, I promise you.
Clive, how do you see it?
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I was really encouraged today. Really encouraged. I had a noose around my neck all week, right? And
you had Mark's noose.
Yeah, I had that noose around my neck, right? And but I was encouraged on a purely football front. Right? I thought today I saw something that resembles a team that I like, right? So that's encouraging, and I saw something in the players that I hadn't seen for quite a while, maybe even this calendar year, right? So if they can continue that, then there's nothing for us to fear, right? But there is a big if, right? And I've spoken a lot about our sort of environment and culture at Arsenal, and I'm a big believer in that you're a product of your environment, and it was good to see a group of hungry players today that were intense, that really wanted something. I think recently we have some players in the team that haven't shown that level of hunger and desire. I'm not one of these people that said, "Oh, you got to show the passion." Well, it's just a core part of football, right? There's football comes in two main parts, right? What you do on the ball and what you do off the ball. And off the ball, we've been too easy to play against. And people have had joy against us. We've encouraged them in. We've made mistakes at critical times. We've been unlucky in going forward, hitting the crossbar and bar and post, whatever. But we've allowed this to happen. And we haven't really, I call it own your size. Own the size of your club by how you play, by how you carry yourself, by how you perform. And we've let ourselves down, and we've got to be honest with it. We've let ourselves down, and today we saw a reaction, right? And the manager got a reaction out of the club, and he needed to, because there is a debate about him, and it's a valid debate, it's a valid discussion point, and I've had it, I've wavered, but today when that ball went in the net from Sanchez, I didn't waver anymore, and that's football, right? So I was back on board. And I'm looking at the whole game. I'm thinking, have we got enough fit, fresh bodies? And then the weekend comes and we're off again, right? So yeah, that's how football can turn very, very quickly,
So where are you standing then?
Oh,
where do you stand?
In summary,
you think we could do it?
Well, I do. I really do. I have not seen anything that's better than us when we play like that. But we're
bipolar, Clive. We are bipolar.
Yeah, but that's life, right?
We've been like that forever, though. Honestly,
exactly.
Arsenal. Honestly, apart from the Invincibles,
yeah,
I've never known. All our successes have always come. They always grind us, and they always take us to the wire and put us through that ringer, mate. Because we never, ever, ever do anything too easy. It's just it's always a struggle. And it's always been like that with Arsenal.
Well, I think we're about 3 or 4. I think we're about 4 or 5 points behind where we should be. I don't think I do look at some of the smaller team games and think we've messed up, and Swansea was definitely one of them. But now we've had a bit of a course correction. We've got something to hang on to. So I am encouraged. I genuinely am encouraged. But team selection is going to be important now, right? So we found something today. We found something in El Neni and Coquelin. Coquelin will be banned for a whole, but he's back at the weekend. So we found something, right? So can we bring that to Everton? Can we do that in the West Brom? Can we do these things? I'm sure we can, right? So I think, and Geoff, you spoke about West Ham, and I absolutely hear you. They're a tall, physical, strong running team at the Bowl-in. Last game. Arsenal, right? Last time they're playing Arsenal. They're going to be up for it. But funny enough, West Ham worries me less than maybe Everton. I just think it's just round the corner, London game. We'll have a good load of fans there. And I sort of fancy us to do well. Everton away after Barcelona. That worries me. That worries me. Worries me a little bit less after Everton imploded today, but it still worries me.
The Man City won as well. They're 2 points behind us, game in hand. Manchester United, I think they're probably playing tomorrow. I don't know if I can trust this team to go on that run to get the points required to win the league. It's going to be an exciting finish to the league. Let's move towards the listeners' questions. I hope I haven't bored you guys. You're both still here?
Yeah. No, you've been brilliant, mate. You crack away.
All right. So the first question is from @Walid Omar 159, and he asks, "What did you make of the El Neni Coquelin partnership, bar the stupid tackle? Should we use it for the rest of the season?" I mean, we've spoken quite extensively, or you both have, but do you see it as the combination now for the rest of the year? Clive, I think it's quite a rudimentary answer from you, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I tell you what I like about El Neni. It's like, if you look at how he plays, right? He plays off one touch. And to play off one touch, you've got to be dialed into the game. That means you've got to have a picture. So it's one touch round the corner, and he supports the play really, really nicely. He just looks like a centre mid. Everything he does says, this is my position. I want to control this area by metronomic movement, early passes. His head's always on the swivel. He's got something, that boy. He's got something, right? And I thought he gave us a base today. Not by crunching tackles. That was Coquelin's job to do the detonating. But I just thought he facilitated the ball, and we've missed that. We've missed that structure, right? So, yeah, I'm very impressed with him today. Very impressed.
One of our top passers in the game today, Geoff. As Clive has already said, he's very good, very competent. He seems to have a picture in his mind. He's very quick. He doesn't I saw at Man United when he came on. He was always on the move. Always on the move. He was never a standing target. Are you confident that this is the partnership going forward, that we're better off having Ramsey on the right or whoever on the right, or even maybe benching Ramsey? But do you see those two as the partnership going forward?
Yeah, the fragility that we have seen over the past, 6 or 7 games has come from that central area, and that is because Ramsey's been playing in there, unfortunately, and like we've alluded to before, and I've spoken about, he's okay offensively, but he's just got that in his mind. He's an offensive type of player. He wants to go forward, and you do need to do that defensive part as good as the offensive part. And El Neni, I think he's the other way around. I think he would rather sit in there and do that job. He's obviously a tidy passer of the ball. He's confident in his game, like Clive has said already. And I would play that setup. It's quite safe, but the away games, the Everton, West Ham and Man City games, I would definitely play that way, because like we saw today, we have got enough going forward. We're not just sticking a wall up. They're two capable players that are playing in there. They can pass, Coquelin and El Neni. So there's no reason why we can't play that. I think it would be suitable for us in the away game. But home games are different. We've got to be on the front foot. And I think that teams, they come and they just park the bus against us when we're playing at home, so we can go full blast offensiveness, But we've got to be cute about it as well. We can't be getting like the Swansea game. We can't be getting caught on the break. It's ridiculous, But definitely for the away games, I think that would be a favourable lineup to play those two players together in the centre of the park. Definitely.
Ord's first says he was one of the players that looked good in midfield in possession, something we've missed. Going on to Martin Morgan @Welsh Gooner 95, he asks, should we play Ramsey on the right more often? I thought at times he drifted into the middle and left Bellerin exposed 1 versus 2. Now, on the other day, Swansea, Campbell was our best player, got hauled off, didn't deserve it. Interesting that Wenger started with Ramsey on the right. I assume it's because he wanted to give that bit more protection, a bit more solidity in midfield. But going forward, do you think it's going to be one or the other, or do you think they will rotate Ramsey and Campbell on a game-by-game basis, Clive?
Well, fair enough. I'm just looking at something right now, right? And Ramsey had only 36% of his touches on the right-hand side. So wherever he plays, he vacates it, right? So he is a mobile rotational player, right? But so but funny enough, he gets into dangerous positions. Right? I can't even track him on my TV, let alone on the pitch, right? He's just hard to find, right? So you can't put him in a structural position because you don't know where he's going to be, right? So, but that's just what you want when you're higher up the pitch. You want someone you can't know where he's going to pop up, as long as he keeps his distances close, right? So, as long as he's not in the middle, I'm okay for him. Campbell had a great game in the week. I think he's hungry, athletic. He drives. He's a good player, but I don't want to put our hopes onto any one individual anymore. The good thing about today was we had a collective performance, right? So, and that's what we need. We don't need one player being a star and the rest just dragging along. We need the collective to come back. And there were about 4 or 5 players we found again today, and that gives me hope going forward.
Geoff?
Yeah. Personally, I obviously for the upcoming games, I think Ramsey gives you that. It gives you that athleticism. He's great. He's all over the pitch. He's got a fantastic engine, and I think that's what you're going to need. I think he will rotate, but going further than that, I think Aaron Ramsey's got a bit of a job to really hold down a position at the in the midfield of Arsenal, because if we are going to really have a right go at these the big club Barcelona's in the Champions League and stuff like that, you really do need to go out and buy a proper right midfield player that acts as a winger at the same time. We can't keep putting these square pegs into round holes. If we are going to be a proper big club and have a right go at it, you've got to get natural players playing in natural positions. And Rambo, if he wants to play centre midfield, I'm not sure he can do that. He's not matured enough yet. He doesn't do that defensive part of the job correctly, in my honest opinion. So what do? If he's not going to get in the centre midfield and you buy a proper right midfield player, where does he play? That's my problem with Rambo. But going forward, like I said, I think he'll rotate Wenger, but we do need to buy a proper right midfield player.
I agree with that. That's a very important point, G. At the moment, for me, Ramsey's a free running player, right? And we have one of those, and he costs us £42 million, right? So, and he runs our team in the last third. Right? He's got the most assists in the league. So what do? Ramsey isn't really a right midfielder. He can get run. He let Danny Rose in a lot today. He was nowhere near him. It's an issue. If we want to talk the big trophies, you can't have no weaknesses at all. None. Nothing, right? Got the right profile of players in the right places. So Geoff is brave enough to say it, right? It's an important point. Where does he fit in this team going forward? He's had 3 months in centre mid, and we've all been moaning about it for ages. He's not going to take Mesut Ozil out, number 10, and so we put him on the right. But in our hearts, we know that that's not ideal for him neither. So what do?
Let's move on to another question from @Ords First, and he asks, we look like we played 4-3-3 at times. Should we use this formation now? Clive, you. Far away.
Didn't see it like that, to be honest. I think we had 2 in, and I felt we had rotation in front of them. I didn't see it like that so much. I think Ozil's smart. He takes his position off of Ramsey's runs. I'm not sure that's good for him. But if Ramsey decides I'm going to stand next to our centre forward, then Ozil comes deeper. If Ramsey decides he's going to play left mid, then Ozil comes over to the right side. And I do think at the top elite level, I like to see a bit more of a predictable structure. I think we can be picked off. We talk about, you said earlier on, G, you said, did he pick Ramsey to protect Bellerin? Well, I tell you now, Ramsey has got the worst dribble pass stats in the whole league. So people have run past him more than any other player, right? So I don't get this tackling thing. I don't think it's a strength. His strength is definitely going the other direction, not going in reverse gear. So we've got some problems to sort out there, right? But the balance was better today based on the structure of the middle 2 and centre mid.
Geoff, what do you think of the formations? I mean, for me, I'm not really a formations man. I think if you're an intelligent footballer, standing 5 years 5 yards this way, 5 yards that way doesn't really mean anything. I mean, you look at Guardiola teams. He'll change his formation 5, 6 times a game just to confuse the other manager. Yeah. Alan Curtis did it to us the other day. He changed the formation 3 times. If you've got faith, if you've got players that you know that you can give them an instruction and they can carry it out and they're intelligent enough, 4 or 5 yards standing left to the right or further forward or further back, it's just numbers to me. But go ahead, Geoff.
Again, you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it is numbers. They might set out at the kickoff. They look like they're playing in those positions, but Arsenal are a fluid team. You're not just held down. It's not an absolute rigid, that's where you play and that's it. They might appear in those positions, but if, how he sets it up is if a player has been caught on the left-hand side of the pitch, they'll all fill in for each other, and that's how it should be. They can all play all over the park, them midfield players, Obviously, the defence is a different kettle of fish, but those midfield, or that front 6, shall we say, they can all interchange. It's very, very fluid. They don't need to necessarily be, a boat hold in one position. And I think that's the way the game should be played, and that's the way the Wenger likes it.
Cool. All right. Next question is this is from @Fards20, and he asks, how far do you think Welbeck can go if he became a lethal finisher? Clive, start with you.
Yeah, he bossed it today. He gave us some hope. I just thought he played that centre forward role like a seasoned veteran. Honestly, that's a preview. People say, "Oh, Arsenal need a striker. We need someone like Lewandowski." Well, that's almost like a Lewandowski type performance. Very strong, running the sides, good on the ball, plays combinations, and it was a preview of what Arsenal could be like with a mobile, physical forward that challenges people, not just back to goal, but running in behind. So it was a preview. I thought Ozil looked happier playing with someone like that. I thought Sanchez looked happier. So we found some players, right? So we definitely saw some combinations that we hadn't seen for the past few weeks. So yeah, very, very pleased. I'm a big fan of him. Always have been. I felt when he got injured, we should have done something about replacing him. And I think if you just look back at our season just now, imagine a fit Danny Welbeck all season, I think it'll look a lot different.
Geoff, I'm going to give you another Welbeck question. This is from @1touch_footy, and he asks, is Welbeck ahead of Giroud now, or does it change based on opposition?
Do you know what I do? I would definitely pick Danny Welbeck ahead of. You've obviously got to be careful because he's just come back from a long injury. He's going to be sore tonight. He's going to be aching, because he's done a lot of work there today. But he, like Clive said, it gives us so many different options. I spoke about it before, what you get from Ollie Giroud and what you get from Danny Welbeck. But Danny Welbeck, he's a totally different footballer. He can be a baller, if you get what I mean. He's got the tricks. He can hold the ball up. He can get the ball down, face up to a defender, and go 1-against-1 with him. He's a natural centre forward. He's got plenty of pace, great engine. He runs all over the pitch, great hunger for the game. The only thing I see for him, and I've seen him a lot, I don't see a natural clinical finisher in him. That's the only thing that, stands him out, not being a £60 million centre forward, and that's how we bought him for £16 million, because he is not a natural goal scorer, so to speak. If he can add that to his game, and you know what, a lot of that is confidence. If he can add that to his game, wow, you know what? And if he could do that over the next 9 games, you never know, he might win us the league.
It could be our Kevin Campbell. The next question is from we've already discussed it, but his name's George Chan. He asked, if we continue to play like we did today, minus the red card, will we win the league? You've both said you both believe we can. Looking at the league table then, Geoff, let me come to you. I don't want to, because you must get tired. I know you say you don't, but I know you get tired. You must get tired at times of answering these questions and then batting them off and whatnot. But if we win the league, say we do win the league, is Wenger, would you be all for him signing another contract? And if he doesn't win the league, would you be for him signing another contract?
Well, if we do win the league, why on earth would you change it? I don't get that.
Because a lot of people say that he should go out on a high.
I'm not. That's all bollocks, mate. You know, go out on a high. No, we go again and we win it next year. You know, why? You know, that'd be absolutely what you win the league and then you want to change the manager. It just don't make any sense to me. We're not Real Madrid. We're not Barcelona. We don't do them type of things. You know, we're building. I see Arsenal at the moment, and we're 2 years into a rebuilding process. People are going to get bored with that, and they've heard it all before. And I understand all that, but we're looking at reality here now, right? We are definitely 2 years into a process of building a new side. We're fortunate enough to get more money now. We've got all that Premier League money coming in, the TV deal and everything else, but so has everybody else. And everyone's heard it a million times before. Yeah, we're so close and we're 1 or 2 players away. I don't see why, if we won the league, you would sack a manager. If we don't win the league, I still think it's the same thing again. Why? If we're only 2 years into it, why? We're going to have another 3-year process. A new man will come in. I don't want to wait another 3 years. I think we're closer now than we have been for a long time.
Okay,
we've just got to wait another little bit.
Okay, so he doesn't win the league this season. Do you see him? Would you say see out your contract to 2017, or do you want to give him another 3-year cycle?
Just see how you go. See how you get on. See how we go this summer. See if we can recruit the players again to bring us further forward this summer, which I believe that we will. See how we go at the end of the season. If we don't win the league, let him see out his contract and see how we are up to that point. See if we have progressed. If we haven't progressed, honestly, I think Arsene will be responsible enough to realise that it's beyond him. Stand down now, and I don't think he'll leave us just in the lurch. I think he'll wait till a manager comes up that he thinks that could do a decent job at Arsenal, and then say, okay, fire away.
We've discussed this before, Clive, and you've talked about structure, hierarchy, and what you feel needs to be changing from the top down. Do you think it's time, at the close of 2017, if he doesn't win it today, if he doesn't win the league this season, that we should really start to look at another person to come in and take it forward?
I don't actually link it to winning, right? I actually link it to just being part of a big organisation, right? So my issue has always been the hierarchy at the club, right? So Arsene Wenger, I've been exposed to the club in the past, and I know you have, Geoff, and the man is revered in that club. He is everything, right? I can't express it to you how important he is to that club, how he is the heartbeat, he's the focal point, he's everything, right? And that always concerns me. If you go to work and there's one person that's so important in the company, that you're literally managing a risk, right? So I would like to see a different structure. I'd like to see more football people involved, so we are not so dependent on one person. My issue has never been Arsene Wenger. My issue has been that I wish we had 3 like him, right? So, and that's my problem, right? So, and if we were to lose 5 in the trot, who has got the gravitas to say, sorry, Arsene, I'm not sure this is quite working out. I'm just not sure there is anybody. So regardless of the results, I think we should be looking at our structure and hierarchy to prepare for the day when Mother Nature takes over and the guy who's 67, I believe, is not quite as good as he was when he was 57. I'm not the man I used to be, right? So I'm afraid we got to start thinking smart about how we, provide and add new custodians into the club, right? So that's just looking forward. When that happens, football's a results game, so results will normally dictate that. So you should prepare for that. I don't mean by having a manager waiting in the shadows. I mean by looking at the structure of the board, director of football, looking at coaches, looking at everything, preparing the day for when the guy that does all those jobs comes to the end of the road. And it will happen, right? So I'm hoping that he can dictate the pace. I'm hoping part of being a top executive like he is you've got to know when to retire your innings, right? So it's the cricket terminology. If you bat too long, you don't win the game. You got to learn when to retire, get them to go into, and then you can bowl them out twice. I'm just hoping he knows when to trust the legacy that he has created to somebody else or to some other people. But I think he's smart enough to decide, right? I think he's smart enough to work it out. I'm not sure I was thinking the same after Swansea. But I'm honest to say to you guys that I flip-flop on it because I've grown up with him and I want him to succeed. I want him to have his moment. I really want him to have his moment. But I am thinking about the club and thinking on a more holistic level that are we prepared for him moving out? I actually think we're actually less prepared than Manchester United were, and that does worry me.
Geoff, do you want to come back on that, or?
I think he summed it up really. I think he's done really well there, Clive, to be honest with you, and I think you're right. But like I said before, I think Wenger really cares about Arsenal Football Club. Arsenal, pardon me, Arsenal is his life. And football is his life. And because football is his life, Arsenal Football Club is his life. I don't think he's going to go to any other club. I think once he does retire from Arsenal, that'll be it. I'm not sure that he's going to go upstairs. I don't think he'll want something like that. Away anyway. He might come back in 3 or 4 years' time, or 2 or 3 years' time, and do something somewhere along the line. But I think that he will definitely prepare for us. So there's a decent transition and it gives us a chance. He'll leave good players in place with a good structure. I think most importantly to him, because he loves the club, I think he definitely wants to leave something. He wants to leave a legacy. And I think that he wants to keep us performing or playing the type of football that we play at the moment. Because at the end of the day, it's all about entertainment. And the crowd do want to be entertained, and he realises that, and it's a big thing for him. And I think that's right. I think that's the right way to look at the game in itself. We are there to be entertained, the fans, and that's what we try to do. And I think we'll try and find someone that will continue that.
Is it right now more harm than good? I mean, if he doesn't win the Premier League this season, the irony will be that Leicester have proved his point. It's not all about the money. But the tragedy is he couldn't do it with his own team. And this is what that's a tweet from Invinciblog. I had a conversation with Invinciblog last night, and I agreed with his tweet when in our discussion. Leicester were proving that you don't need, X amount of money to actually go out and win it. But the flip side is he couldn't do it. He hasn't so far been able to do it himself. We don't know if he will or won't. But if he doesn't at the end of this season, are we seeing a man that's doing more harm than good? Sometimes you can love something too much. Sometimes you can actually love something too much to the point where it's becoming a detriment.
I think sometimes he's got to learn when to trust the legacy of what he has created. He has created this, right? He's done it himself, right, with a few good players, and he has created this. I do have a fear that he may hang on too long. But who am I, right? Some overweight, middle-aged guy telling him when to hang on too long, who's been managing for 30 years, right? So
who will, Joe? Who will, Clive? You said that you're not sure we've got any football men on there. So who will? I mean, a boxer needs a trainer, a mentor to tell him, look, Frank, it's time to hang up the gloves. Mike, it's time.
It comes back to the hierarchy of the club. That's my issue. I haven't got a solution, by the way. But if you're looking at this organisation that's got that makes the money it does, it's got the fan base it has. This is a global monster club, right? It's in the top echelons of the British game, which basically runs the world game, right? The Premier League is the most watched league in the world by far. And we are right there, top 4 for 18, 19 years. And you got to look at it from an organisation point of view and say to yourself, actually, the person that's the most key individual in this organisation is 67 years of age and 20 years into his job. He is already on the down curve. He is not going to do another 20 years, right? It's not possible. So we have to plan. So what are we doing? What are we doing? For me, I don't think we have a plan. And that worries me. It doesn't matter. If one this game 5-0, I say the same thing. It worries me. It's staring you in the face, right? We have a chasm. We have a vacuum. So maybe there is a plan. I just don't know it, right? So, but that's my worry. and because Mother Nature takes care of things, right? So
sorry, Clive, to cut across you again. I understand what you're saying, but he's a super fit guy. But apparently, bleep tests is unbelievable for 67. He bleep tests like a 35-year-old. So he's so fit. His day is exactly like a professional footballer's day. He does the exact same things. Obviously not as intense, but he eats the same food. He treats it exactly the same. The same thing. He really is a health freak. Right? Yeah. So he's definitely one up. He's fit. His mind is still sharp. I don't buy this about he don't do tactics and that and this and that. No, I don't, honestly. You saw the tactics that he set up there today. It done a job for us. If he thinks if he thinks his tactics are right, he'll stick with them until they're proved absolutely wrong, and then he might change again. But just because you change, right, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. Sometimes you're best doing what you believe in, right, and you keep plugging for that goal, or you keep doing what you're doing, But he's fit enough. And I said before, I honestly think Arsene is that type of person. If he thinks he's wading, he'll declare. I don't think you're going to need to push him out the door.
But will it be the right moment though, Geoff? Will it be the right? Because like I said, sometimes you're so blind, you're so consumed by it, you're not sure. It's like those Greek tales, Midas and all those guys. They're never aware of when it's the right time to go. They're never aware of the right time.
We've had a bleak 10 years apart from the two FA Cups. But people tend to ignore the circumstances. They just look at the trophy count, and you mustn't. You've got to take in all the circumstances. You do get teams from time to time. It's happened all over the world. You'll get the Werder Bremens pop up and win the Bundesliga. The Dortmunds will pop up and win the Bundesliga. Deportivo La Coruña and Valencia will win in Spain and Atletico Madrid. You'll get teams that pop up. They'll build a team that's got that belief, like Leicester, like Tottenham at the moment, and they will pop up from time to time and go on really, really good runs. Some will go through and they'll win it. Some just drop off at the end. So it's unfortunate that we've got two teams now that have built a team in this particular year, because it would have been fantastic for us and Arsenal in this year now. It is the best chance now of winning a league than we most probably are going to get for the next 4 or 5 years. You've got Pep coming to Man City. There's rumours that Mourinho's going to go back to Manchester United. They're great.
Going to Chelsea.
Yeah, Conte going to Chelsea. They're big, big challenges there. But Arsenal were very, very settled. I think we're in a fantastic position. At the start of the season, middle of last season, when we dropped off again, I would have arguments on Twitter. You've most probably seen it. Yeah, I just want an Arsenal that can win a trophy every now and again, and we can compete. I just want us to compete. Well, at the moment, right, we are still competing with 8 or 9 games to go. We are still competing. I still think we're going to be in it to the next 3 or 4 games at least. So let's just hope that Spurs, we've been through these last 10 games a few times, Let's just hope that Spurs and Leicester, they might drop off and we come through. It's nice coming from behind. We've always done it well when we come from behind. We've done it a few times. So hopefully we'll do it again this season.
Talking about hierarchies, just going off on a tangent, Mashiri has gone and bought a controlling stake in Everton, and the first thing he's done is lower the ticket prices as of next season, 5% for the adult tickets, and I think £149 by £149 for the junior tickets holders. So he's already endeared. If he didn't feel endeared before, he's definitely done himself a favour, endearing himself to the fans now. He's obviously looked at it. There's big money coming into the Premier League. He wants a piece of the pie. He's taken his stake out of Arsenal. It's gone over there. Is there a feeling that maybe if him and Usmanov might have done similar here? Do you feel, in my eyes, Usmanov's a crook. And for the longest time, I've dismissed him as a crook. All those letters that came out at key moments when we were at our lowest ebb, and the open letters to the fans and the chairman and whatnot. But I'm now looking at it and I'm thinking, this ownership structure. This Kroenke and Harris and Keswick and whatnot, they're not actually doing anything. Clive, you said earlier in the week, we're looking at the bottom line rather than the finish line as a club, as a board, as a company, as Wenger said.
Yeah, that's my issue, right? And this is something that I actually don't know the answer to, but I also have gone through a couple of phases. Obviously, when Wenger was in his peak years, he had to establish himself, and he built some of the best teams we've ever seen in our lives, right? And we won a lot. Then he said, well, you know what? We need to focus on doing something else, moving this club on into a different era, into a different phase. And he built, the stadium got built, and we had to sustain us. We had to sell a player every year, every 2 years, and we had to have the revenue of the Champions League. So our success criteria has changed, and I do think we have an issue with resetting our mentality from, the bottom line to the finishing line. But I wasn't thinking that again. I'm honest, right? I'll tell you now, I wasn't thinking that today when Alexis Sanchez scored.
I know, but looking at the long term, I know that. Moving on from the game itself in isolation and looking at it as a long term, as a structure, as a company, as they like to put
it. Long term, I do worry about the environment. Long term, I do worry about the mental reset. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if you can do that without renewing the people, right? So on Usmanov, I haven't really got a massive view. I think one of the top 3 richest men in the world? Well, to find one of the top 3 richest men in the world, wherever it is, even liking football is quite surprising. The fact he actually likes your club is amazing, right? So, but we have chosen to keep him on the outside. And, I'm a football guy, right? I talk about football and tactics. I'm not going to go too deep into this because it's not my expertise. But it does feel like a shame that one of the richest men in the world can't be more involved. That's just purely selfish because the game is run by finance, and I'd like to see more finance. But Arsenal are a highly moral club, and I'm not sure Usmanov is highly moral. So one of the reasons why I support Arsenal because of its standards and its values. So if they decide he's not going to be involved because they know more about him than I do, then I have to accept that.
Geoff, before we close, just quickly to you on the Usmanov.
Well, first of all, great bit of PR by Moshiri, by the way. I mean, he like you said, he's endeared himself. I'm not sure. Was it definitely guaranteed that it was down to him, or was that going to be?
I don't know. But
it seems that way. Yeah. On to Arsenal's situation. I mean, I caused a bit of a stir a while ago, about maybe 3 months ago now, when it was deemed that the financial fair play wasn't going to work anymore. Arsenal, I think they made a mistake in relying on financial fair play to work in our favour. I think they've been let down, in fact, because they was told, play by the rules, Arsenal, and everyone else are going to. Everyone that falls foul are going to get reprimanded, and there's going to be bans if need be, etc., etc. That's all been blown out of the water now. And I tweeted out a while ago now. Once we found out that was never going to be going to happen any longer, that there may need to be a change in place, i.e. of a change of the way we go about our business, i.e. Kroenke's got to start putting a few quid into it and start investing, or he's going to have to move over and let someone else put money into Arsenal, because it's going to be very, very difficult to keep up with these teams like Man City, Chelsea and the likes, to keep up with them, paying the massive wages that they do. It's okay having a great big shiny stadium of 60,000 and getting that great revenue, to maybe the best in the world match day revenue, but that's only can only take so far. I think we are going to need, and that's what will happen. I've always said it. Arsenal are going to do their best. We're a proper club. We'll play by the rules. We'll go as far as we can. We'll take it as far as we can take it. And if we can't beat them doing it that way, I'm afraid we're going to have to join them. And I think that's what they'll choose to do, because Arsenal are too big to be brushed aside.
I think that kind of wraps it up. I kind of agree, Geoff. I can't say I can't agree. I do agree that we're going to have to make a choice. And hopefully it's the right one in sooner rather than later time. I want to thank you both for coming on. Hopefully, I'm sure you both think, do you think the team that we saw against Hull first leg will be the same team we've seen against Hull in the replay, Clive? And do you think we'll win? We'll prevail? Yeah?
I hope we do prevail.
Yep.
Green shoots today. Green shoots. It'd be a shame to go out the FA Cup, right? So hopefully we've got enough fit players to go and do a job.
Geoff, for you, scratch team for the whole game and a win?
No, I think we'll put a decent side out. I think it's very important we put a decent side out. It's an important competition. I think Wenger would want to win 3 on the trot. I think it'll be a similar type of game that we saw in the first game. I don't think they're going to be doing much attacking Hull City, but hopefully we'll get a couple of breaks and we'll go through.
All right, great stuff. Thank you both for coming. I want to apologise to everybody. This has gone way over time. Our producer has been on at me on the chat box saying that we're going way over. I really do apologise, but I thought it was it's the North London derby. You can't just give it a quick 20 minutes, 30 minute coverage. You've got to give it its meat and bones. And I hope you guys all enjoyed the conversation about Kroenke and Gazidis and Usmanov and everything else. I want to thank Geoff for coming on. Thank you very much, sir.
I'll tell you what, it was a pleasure, mate. Thank you for inviting me. Great time.
Thank you. And also, Clive, thank you very much for coming on again, Clive.
No worries, Southern. Nice to meet you, Geoff. Really pleasure.
Great stuff. All right, so guys, this has been the Gooner Ramble podcast. Catch us on all the platforms, subscribe, and you'll get the updates automatically. I want to say thank you and good night.